Good morning, good people. We're going to get started in a second, just giving people a chance to join the call.
Or the training. So you would okay. Let me back up.
Good morning, good people. Welcome in, welcome in. We're going to get started in a second. We just want to give people at least 5 minutes to come in, join the call, get adjusted, get situated. But we do hope that your Wednesday is going well so far. Thank you all for joining today's village meeting.
Water here.
Again, to last forever. Another day, I knew towards the beginning, and the seasons know exactly when to change. Cause kindness knows no shame, knows for your joy and pain. I'll be loving you always. I said, it makes me the past without fear. I'll be loving you always.
They must like you.
Hey, Shekinah, can you maybe mute folks so we don't pick up any unintended conversations?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I'm following your lead, so you let me know when and if you want me to jump in.
Okay, good morning, good people. I hope everybody's Wednesday is going well so far. I am getting messages as people are joining the room, so I'm trying to also admit people into the room. I'm assuming that may be a different function since we sent out the link to this week's village call a little bit differently. So if you guys are having any trouble with that, I'm doing that in real time. But just wanted to say good morning to everybody. Take a second, take a deep breath. Um, take this moment to just be present in your body, in your mind, in your spirit. We don't want this week's call to feel heavy at all. So we just want to give everybody a second to just breathe, to just say good morning, to just be present with us, to just pause if you need to. We thank you for obviously always being a part of the village, giving us your time. I know that this is maybe a few people's first time being able to join us in a while. So I want you to, for one, give yourself a pat on the back. I know that a lot of people started off this year, expressing how they wanted to re-engage with the village. And so we thank you. We honor you. If this is your first time being on the call, you can drop a hey in the chat just so that we can welcome you back. Back on the call, back getting engaged with the village. So we just want to thank you for that. We're so excited to see some new faces, some first time faces. If this is your first time on the village call, thank you and welcome. This is a safe space for you. This is a space of empowerment. This is a space of community. And so we welcome you. So please don't feel pressured to say anything in the chat or come off mute, but we do welcome all feedback. Today we do have some special announcements, some tidbits. We will be doing a live survey during this call, so please engage in that as much as you can. This is just a call where we're just going to be doing having a little feedback conversation. So if you have any questions, if you have any, ways that you want to engage or anything that you want to drop in the chat, please feel more than happy to do so. And Erica and I will be just sharing some information with y'all as we step into the journey of 2025. If you had a pleasure of being on last week's call and the week before that, we've been talking a little bit about what we want the village to look like for us and feel like for us 3 years from now. And so as we journey through that together, this is just a conversation that we really want to feel like, hey, y'all, let's come to the kitchen table and talk it out as a family. So thank you again for joining us today. And I'm going to open the floor a little bit for Erica to kind of start that conversation off, just so we can have a good footing into going into this, transitioning into this conversation and what that will look like for us.
So thank you, Shekinah. Good morning, everyone. It is so good to see y'all's faces and y'all's names. I don't think I've seen 50 some odd people on a village call in quite a while. I gave some shout outs because Brother Mike, I ain't seen you in a month of Sundays. It is just so good to see your faces, your smiles, your names, your pictures. We needed it. So hopefully a few of you got a chance to watch the impromptu video that Shekinah and I put together to prepare us for this time together today. Y'all, it's been a lot. It has been a lot happening there. I am extremely sensitive to what could feel like a game of keep away. Being in the nonprofit sector, especially, I think there's a little trauma around that sort of, broken promises or when something just feels like it's not quite right. And so the best way I know how to confront that as either ideas or a fear is for us just to be as open and honest with each other as possible. The other piece that feels important to name for everyone, and I believe that we've tried to demonstrate this since day one of the village being at CFMT, is that this is a collective body with collective ownership. We have been granted the opportunity to be stewards of the larger body of this work, but this body only exists because of the individual parts. We are only here to be in service of the individual members of the village and the organizations that are represented here, right? And so because of that, part of our measures of accountability is to be able to bring some of the things that we wrestle with, some of the difficulties, some of the challenges and curveballs, so that we can process through them together in real time. And so that's how we're going to use our time. Feel free to throw stuff in the chat box. I know Shekinah will have my back in making sure we are able to answer as many questions as possible. A few of you on this call have additional information in regards to some of the pieces of content that I'll share. So feel free to unmute yourself. This is not a lecture. This is a family table conversation, okay? And so I want to bring what I know to be true. You throw out what you know to be true, and we'll move from there. So the first thing I want to do is update everybody a little bit around a timeline. So as you all know, during our last budget season, which is crazy because we're already doing pre-budget hearings, right? But during our last city's budgeting cycle, a number of you stood with us at City Council and petitioned for, ultimately, we asked for 3 years of operating funds. After quite a battle, the village was granted an intent to award letter that was roughly half of the amount of the previous operating budget. So the village had been previously granted $500,000. Y'all know, we're gonna use real numbers. The intent to award, I believe, was like 265, somewhere in there, right? Immediately went back. Actually, y'all, I'm gonna use. Okay, can you hear me now? I pulled us from a couple of tables. That demonstration, and for many of you who were at a similar table with the health department, y'all know what we had to go through even to get the dollars that had already been granted to us through council. The hoops that we jumped through, the petitioning, the amplifying of voices, the pointing out of issues in the most professional and amicable way possible, did not really garner the results that we were hoping with our partners at the city at a certain level. And so at that point, I made the decision in consultation with a couple of other funders and Hal Cato here at Community Foundation for us to pool some of our support that was directly benefiting the health department. You may have heard us talking about the VPAT project, Violence Prevention Action Teams. Anthony Johnson came on last year. We did some round tables. Some of y'all nod, so y'all know what you tell me you know what I'm talking about. Oh, yep, thank you. Thank you, Brother Caldwell. There's only so many times we can go in a circle in the sandbox before you take your toys and leave, right? And so us extracting ourselves, our resources from that particular partnership pissed people off in a very specific way. And then we had a new intent to award letter for $500,000. And so then the process began of the contracting. And for those of you who have been in contract with Metro, you know that that is not an easy process. We were informed, and I'm saying this for those other direct grantees of that community safety funding from Metro, we were informed that the reason that the village's funding was postponed was because of what happened in that interim, because we declined and fought that original intent to award, then eventually, because people's phones started to ring, we ended up with the 500K, right? And so that delay meant that now there was a delay in contracting, and that hopefully by the end of 2024, that we will have a contract that was finalized enough that we can move forward with programming. So what you have heard from Shekinah and I is you're gonna ride this thing out for 2024. Community Foundation had agreed to underwrite as I'm gonna say, as bare minimum of the expenses as possible for the village, because at this point, y'all, there's no pool of dollars for this work, right? This is now Community Foundation opting to invest and with good in faith that we will have the contract from Metro government. And so I wanted you to hear that timeline from me so that you understand that this has not been a game of keep away, but that we have been chasing ourselves in a lot of ways and at the mercy and discretion of those who are involved. Here's where we landed financially. The health department is committed to figuring out the best way for us to get the full $500,000. We'll talk about it in a little bit later on in our call today, how Shekinah and I and our team are considering orienting ourselves against some very clear and strategic deliverables that will hopefully allow us to be in a position with your support to secure the 3 years of funding that the village needs to have a healthy and affirming transition, void of the complications and the gaze of Metro government. So the 500K, we are able to figure out the budget for. Last I was told, and there may be other grantees on the phone that can confirm, we will still have a full year to complete programming, which means we will still have a full 12 months to leverage that 500K against the same budget, essentially, line items that we've been executing. So any previously known as consulting packages, because we have to change that language, y'all, but previously known as consulting packages, any of your support that any of our other consultants or experts are providing, we will still have a significant window to execute that program. It's a matter of when there is ink that is dried on a contract. I'm gonna pause because this is starting to feel a little bit like a fire hose. But I also want you all to know as much as you possibly can about the details of this work so that we are our best equipped to figure out what comes next for all of us. So I'm gonna pause and see if there's any questions or clarifications. And especially if you are another direct grantee whose source and distribution is Metro Health, if there's additional context that feels important for our larger group, please feel free to share. Somebody give me something so I don't feel crazy on the other side of the computer. I see a couple smiles. I guess that helps. That helps. Go
And
ahead.
I wanted to ask specifically, I know that Erica, you just highlighted that the language around consultant packages will change a little bit. I wanted to ask, was there any questions about that? Because I'm confident that people will get a little bit curious even after this call. Um, I know that our underwriting support for consultant packages is one of the main, functions of support from the village. And so I wanted to highlight that piece and if anybody specifically had any questions about that.
So before we open up to questions about that language, let me color it a little bit. So I think I
Okay.
can fill in the blanks for us. So part of what has been problematic is the most neutral language I've been able to use to describe how and why this process is different is that when you look at Metro's grants manual, for instance, which who knows what year in the 1900s it was written, right? Like we see this manual and there are words. Each department within Metro essentially has the ability to interpret the language that's written in any of the official documents. Now there's legal, like we have Metro Legal that will essentially then make some decisions. But as far as interpretation, it's really up to each department. Our source and distribution comes from a department that culturally skews conservative. And so they not only align with quite literally the letter of the law that is written there, and this is not a value statement, this is facts. This is what I have heard from their mouths. We follow the letter, we follow the law to the letter, and then we skew conservative. So if we're considering an interpretation of something, whether it is a category for funding or a requirement of a grant, the other player in the sandbox right now, right? Their orientation to the rules, to the laws, and then the procedures that you perform accordingly are very literal and then skew conservative. Because of that, we are having to be very, very, it's not cautious, you all. It is, we need to make sure that our expenses are allowable per the grant required for the grants manual for Metro. And so the language that we are using and that many of us in this sector use freely is triggering for some of the legalities and the conservative read for Metro government. So what that means is I got a report back that about 80% of our expenses were unallowable for the village. And so the last week of my world has been, what's the game of translation? And how do we clarify, even for themselves, what they mean by certain categories, so that we have to know the rules so that we can move the pieces around on the chessboard, right? And so this past week have been, what are the rules so that we can figure out how to move them around the chessboard? And the piece of input that is going to be crucial from you all is to best understand which pieces of our chessboard matter the most for us. If we are needing to go back and sort of essentially renegotiate the terms of how the village is resourcing the village members, then what feels most important is for us to have a clear understanding of what is the village's unique value proposition for each of you. not where it's duplicating services, not where it's, sort of building off of a thing, but where, if not for the village, what would not exist for you all? And I think that's a point of curiosity for Shekinah and I, and definitely around the number games that's on my wall and in every notebook I have right now. So Shekinah, I know that was a little bit of a roundabout way of not answering your question at all. And I see, Maria, you even asked, can those consulting packages be made available to village members? So what we have to figure out now is, how do we provide the support that you need? Let's strip away consulting language. Let's strip away workshops. Tell me what it is that we need as a collective so that we can build the right container, right, for those skills or for that access or for that resource, and then map it against the game that we're playing right now with Metro. Was that clear-ish? Thank you for the head nods. I appreciate y'all.
And I wanted to
I
highlight,
said a whole lot of words. And if there's questions, is it possible to send us a survey for that data? It is. So here's the thing, y'all. We survey a lot. I'm not going to say we survey a lot, but we have a significant amount of data from you all. I think I need to hear your voice. Like, I need you to talk to me right now. This is a decision that I'm going to have to make like today or tomorrow. I need to hear your why with the village in this regard. We have a whole nother conversation to have about sustainability. We have a whole nother conversation to have about what happens for that 3-year transition plan, and even how we dive deep this year as opposed to wide. But I think what I need right now is for my village to speak and talk back to me based on what I just shared.
Hey, Erica, this is Ashley. I have something I want to share. For me, and just being honest, I launched Connect, Create, Celebrate last October. So when I first learned about this, I was telling y'all, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of learning as I go. But you guys have provided really some accountability kind of for me to continue to stay consistent and just stand up to date with what's happening. So I really appreciate that because I'm busy. Also, just the emails that are sent, I read every single one of those. And although I'm busy, I do hope in the future to be able to support more of the events that everybody's throwing, because I think once we start doing that and supporting each other, it's going to make a bigger impact. And I can just say I'm going to try to do a better job at being more tapped in and having more conversations outside of the calls. But that's really all I wanted to share.
Thank you, Ashley. That's super helpful. And knowing that, your passion and talent really does live at this intersection of connection. I appreciate that the value that the village brings connects, right, with what is at the heart of who you are and how you move. And you were able to articulate that for me. So thank you.
Good morning. This is CJ Colas. How everybody doing today? I just wanted to say, listen, you, Erica, and Shekinah, listen. So much, just like Ashley said, you guys have helped me done so much as far as consulting. The workshops, that's something I look forward to. Like she said, I'm reading your emails every week. If they comes every day, I am, because I really want to know what's the next workshop. As far as having people within the village that's creating like events or workshops or whatever it is like Ashley does, I'm attending because this is how I make my connections. I am not initially from Nashville, so the village have helped me connect with other people that I need to connect with. And like she said, I started in a nonprofit world, not knowing exactly. I knew what my mission was and what I wanted to do, but getting to execute their mission would been hard, because to be honest with you, it's hard connecting with people or have them listen to you, especially a Black woman. It's not that easy. And so I feel like you guys have provided resources for me within the past few years. And I've been with the village since it started. The amount of resources you guys provided for me as far as consulting, workshops, connections, the roundtables, I listen, I take the information, I apply it, and it works. and I pray and hope that it continues, because it's been tremendously helpful for me. To be honest, I've met so many people through this system. Like, I don't want to call it system, to this family, because that's what you guys do and make you feel like. So I just want to be able to, and let me say this before, let me finish. I'm talking too much right now. But you guys make it so comfortable for me to pick up the phone and call you at any moment, send an email to either of you and say, hey, what you think about this? If you don't know, you say, you know what, let me find some information and I'll get back to you. And 100% of the time, you guys always get back to me. So I just want to put that out there and thank you for your services, your work, and everything that you do. I say this every time I see y'all: do not quit, please. I say that all the time, no matter how hard it gets, do not.
To quit every time.
Yeah.
CJ, thank you for that. We appreciate you so much and for your commitment to the village and to supporting the actual body of the village. I'm gonna say this because I hear my sister Kara in my ear, and then you can go next, Kara. We are not going to move from a deficit mindset. We are not going to move from a place of fear or lack or scarcity, right? We are abundant. We are well resourced. We just need to be strategic right now. I mean, we've been strategic since day one. We just have more information. And so we got to move a little different. But this is not, I don't want the fear or the lack to be what drives this conversation. Where are we rich and abundant? And that's what we want to keep on pouring and keep sowing into. I'm gonna just sort of go across my screen. I see Kara, I see Brother Caldwell, then I see, is it Jahara? And then I think Edwina has her hand up as well. So maybe let's go in that order.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that, Erica. When I think about the value add that the village has brought, I think about three different things. I think about, and it has already been spoke about, connection, not only just from a cultural understanding, but from, I think about the services and the partnerships that have come from this space. I wish, me, I want to talk some numbers, but I don't have that. But just thinking about how we have been able to take a connection from this space and then take it into our organization and build a project from it or an event from it. And so I think about the connection. And then I think about the capacity building from this space from two lands, from literally the organizational capacity. So an investment in our technology allowed us to save money. The initial savings was $70,000 because we didn't have to hire a volunteer coordinator. We were able to implement automation, which took things off of our plates. And we're building that out to just leverage that technology to reduce burnout, to reduce really performing as robots. It's helping us to human better. And I say that capacity in a sense of emotional capacity. I think of the sisterhood that has been birthed from this space, the sister and brotherhood, just the safe spaces that I have been able to, through these back to connections, been able to come in and just, vent from a leadership perspective of what we're going through as Black leaders, and which allowed me to have more emotional capacity. And I wish I could measure that in some kind of way. But I don't know how to do that, but really just and I heard CJ point out, and shout out to CJ, one of my sisters in here, that we've talked about this together, but just from a phone call through this connection, it allowed us to address what we needed to address and then go back and do the work. So if we could quantify that in some kind of way, I think that could be powerful as it relates to emotional capacity. And then lastly, I kind of hit on that my 3 C's was that the connections, the capacity, and the community is how we have been able to leverage this opportunity in this partnership.
Thank you, Kara. Brother Caldwell.
Yeah, I wanted to quickly say thank you for the work that you all have been doing. I see Edwina and Micah and several others on here that deal with metro contracting. And so when you ask the village, what is it that we need that would go with the playbook of metro? Um, you're safe when you talk about staff, paying for staff, when you talk about uh, program supplies, programmatically, you're safe in that zone. When you talk about the needs of others in which the programs are actually taking care of, servicing, that provision is safe. And so I see several of them on here, and I hope I see Edwina's hand up. So I hope Micah and some others will jump in as well, because you're good when you go along those lines right there, and you won't fall short in terms of what they're asking for, and what you are actually going to get money back from when you're dealing with them.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. We were able to get there in a very roundabout way with Metro. I think the question it begs, which is why we're having this conversation, y'all. If you could see how many different post-it notes I have up around my office and other rooms, is because now we have to really reconfigure the work of the village has not matched the budget proposition that was given back to me, right? It does not allow us to execute this body of work as it's designed currently. So this is our fast and furious version of, let's take all the pieces back apart, right? And let's figure out how do we put the picture back together in a way that allows, one, for us to remain true to who we are, which is why we're here. We're not making up pieces. We're not pulling something from a different, box to make it fit, but we are going to have to reconfigure. And where we have landed is that people are safe, supplies. Y'all, they wanted us to, I'm not going to do that. If somebody want to call me later, I can give you an example of what did not match our deliverables, but I want to stay on task here. Edwina, did I call you next? Go for it.
Yes. Okay. Thank you guys so much. One, I just want to honor Shekinah and Erica, just the strategy that you all are utilizing to build this community, but also this new system. Like there's a gauntlet being put down, and that you all are just standing in the shadows of like, no, we got to fight through this. So I just want to thank you, because y'all are super spearheading that for all of us. And when you asked about what I've seen just from a total of what the village has done, access, I think that is one of the main ones. And then Kara spoke to community, but I also want to emphasize the mental health for leadership. As the city of Nashville, we talk about that a lot, but what does it actually look like? The village has been able to execute that, securing the mental health for leadership so that organizations are not temporary, but truly sustainable with the resources that they provide. And then education, one of the young ladies spoke about workshops. It's not just workshops, but it's the skill base. So we know that in disparities in communities, that skill base is needed. And so otherwise, many people on this call and people who are not here today, they wouldn't have been able to get access to it. You all make the workshops around different times. You're considering those nuances that keep certain people away from those education opportunities, and you all provide access to that. The other thing is a resource as a connector. Nashville does a lot, and there are so many platforms, and I hear you around not duplicating, but the intentionality of the village with connecting, that's something I've actually not seen in 20 years in Nashville. And then the other one is vetting. So when we're talking about good stewardship of these funds that are coming in, the village has really helped the nonprofit sector to really be able to vet their consultants, their funders, their resources that are coming in to make sure that they're used in proper form. And then the last one I really wanted to speak to is the collaborative model. I think even where we are right now at this point of what you and Shekinah and the leaders that even came before you all was preparing the village for, is that this is a time of collaboration. And what does that look like authentically? And what does that look like when it's approaching funding? And so that's what, Dee was probably talking about, is that when we really step forward in a collaborative model, being able to explain those funding resources in a new way, I think is really great. And I really think that that's what the village has been building up for, and to ensure that we're not unnecessarily replicating already limited resources. So really being able to call that out and name it. But I really do, I'm just looking on the call right now, like through the names, and I see the allyship here. And I really think that you all are on the path that's gonna produce that. And so I'm just really proud of you guys. And I also wanna say I'm cheering you all on, and I'm thankful that you all are just championing for us and for this whole community. So thank you.
Thank you for those tangibles, Edwina. Always appreciative. I have a couple other updates I want to share, but I want to make sure we get to folks. Jahara, were you sharing? I think you had your hand up earlier.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to ask, how do you get access to the funds? How do organizations get access to the funds that you all have?
So we don't do direct funding historically, which is some of why we're talking today. Historically, there have been a couple ways we've partnered and matched our nonprofits with consultants who've been able to provide a very specific scope of support, and then we underwrite that cost. We've also been able to provide some sort of plug and play opportunities. Ashley has done a great job of creating video collateral, et cetera. And then we would essentially underwrite Ashley's fee, right, as a consultant to do that work for you. We don't provide direct grants. That's not, it's definitely not an allowable expense, but it's not really the role of the village. I think to Edwina's point, we try to stand in this space where we're helping to build your capacity while also, I've been using an analogy, we're not going to let you starve while we're teaching you how to fish. And so what are the immediate ways that we can provide support while also building your playbook to be a more sustainable organization and also be positioned for funding? I know those words could maybe mean absolutely nothing to some folks. We also make sure if there's an opportunity to be directly in front of a funder who can write you a check, that I'm pulling up a seat to that table if it's at all possible. And so there are some very sort of methodical ways that we provide support and resources, but then there's also those episodic opportunities that present itself and that's really where the relationship helps us to be the better vetters, to make sure that we're connecting people where it's meaningful, and that also you have the support to sustain whatever that investment is. So Jahara, I hope that was a brief answer to your question, and know that some of what comes out of this conversation will mean that how we distribute that support and those resources may shift, but we'll make sure it shifts in a direction that we're still meeting the needs per our scope of impact. Kami?
Yes, so I actually got introduced to the village via Ron, which I believe he's, the main founding member of this organization. And it's been just very instrumental in just how Black Lemonade has thrived, has partnered with a lot of people on this call. One thing that you said, Erica, that really has stuck with me, and I kind of use it in my day-to-day talks with my staff, is that a lot of us are operating in our own trauma, which means that we found something that was going on in our life that we wanted to find a solution for, and we just began trying to find solutions. And so when I joined the village, and you said that, I was able to really put into perspective, Kami, you've really been operating off of emotion. And so I've been really taking in the opportunities that you guys have allowed us. I've been connecting with other organizations who have been in this game a lot longer and being able to be mentored by them. Diamond, Backfield in Motion, a lot of partners on here as well. Just being able to have that community, because a lot of times, we look at these grants. Sometimes we read, the 65-page grant that says do this and don't do this, but we're really trying to get that money so that we can do our solutions. But ultimately, if we fail, whether that's an audit, whether that's financial reporting or anything like that, it's really the money gets taken away. But with the village, I've been able to just strategically plan out how I read through those grants, how I submit for the audits and things of that nature. So I've just been very appreciative of just the opportunities that the village has afforded Black Lemonade, because me operating in a solution or something that, I found as a problem, I wasn't too heavily focused on the nits and crannies of just running a business outside of it just being a community serving organization. So I just appreciate you guys for everything that you guys have offered us, whether it is the consulting or just the community in general.
Thank you, Kami. Shekinah, can you create a poll while I'm providing this next update? I'm curious to see how many folks leverage through the village their CNM membership. Actually, y'all, let's make it forward facing, right? If this continued to be a resource from the village, I would love to know about their CNM membership, and then specifically classes at CNM, and then village-led workshops and consulting. Maybe if we can get a poll and have people sort of click like what they take advantage of or what they would look forward to or need moving forward. I just want to see those quick numbers. I'm gonna share. Did someone else want to?
Yeah. Sorry,
Hello.
Erica.
No,
How are
go
you,
for
Erica?
it. Yeah,
I
good
haven't
to
been
see
here
you.
in a long time.
I know,
As you
good
know,
to see you.
it's been a long lot of stuff going on at the Urban League, and just like Ms. Butler said, that we do a lot of business, and a lot of people on here we've assisted in, like Black Lemonade, Backfield Emotion, a couple of other organizations that are on here. I think that the village has been a good avenue for us to connect with other organizations that might not do the work that in those spaces, that workforce development, they might not do workforce development. They can come to us and we can help them with workforce development, like the workshops. Erica, you guys can tap into us a little bit more too, because I'm starting to do a lot of the job readiness workshops in the city. We actually have Workforce Wednesdays in our office, which is going to start in about 15 minutes, and I got to do the workshop. So we're also at MDHA, helping them with their workforce development and helping them find levels of careers. Being able to tap in with our expungement clinic. I dropped the flyer in the chat. So the other organizations that are on here, tap into us. You can send me an email, and I'll just put my email in the chat. Tap into us and definitely work with us, because we're not a silo. We want to work with everybody. And then, like I said, I got to introduce myself. There's a lot of people on here who might not know me. So I'm Harold. I'm the director for workforce development and programming at the Urban League of Middle Tennessee. So I'll leave my email in the chat.
Thank you so much, Brother Simpson. It's good to see you. And I know that Ank's right before a workshop. So thank you for taking time to join us. And you bring up such a great point. When we were, Shekinah and I were here with the news that you can't pay for this, you can't pay for this, you can't pay for that, we immediately started asset mapping. And as a part of that mapping, we know that the village is rich with so much expertise and knowledge. And so even the notion of being more intentional about connecting the dots for workshops that our organizations are already hosting and or already connected to can absolutely be one of the ways that we think about our maybe financial limitations, but then also how can we better support your individual org, right? Instead of us paying, I'm making up numbers, spending the $3,000 to build a workshop from top to bottom, we partner with an organization, and then there is, an opportunity to exchange some resources for that org based on the support that you all are providing. So would love an opportunity to continue to explore where you all have availability to offer resources to the larger body and how we can better systematize those offerings. Other thoughts? I'm going to give a brief update around a couple other important factors here for the village, and then I would love for y'all to continue to dump your thoughts in the chat box. Shekinah's going to give us a heads up if we're able to do a quick little, oh, boom, there it is. All right, I'm going to pause and let us do a survey, y'all. So there's a poll up. Would just love to, okay, we're going to rank it. I love it. Rank. Let's do forward facing. Okay. If you were thinking about the village providing support around your CNM membership, like 0 to 10, how important is that to you? Fill in the blanks with whatever words make sense, y'all, as long as it's consistent for your own understanding. So CNM membership, how important or valuable does that feel as a resource from the village? The workshops that CNM offers specifically, oh, they're CNE. Let me put some respect on it. They are now the Center for Nonprofit Excellence. Our village workshops, so the workshops that we actually curate, and then what were previously known as consulting packages, but essentially it is the one-on-one support that you receive from an expert based on content that is important to you. So I'm going to give us a little bit of time to answer this. I'll share a few more updates, and then I would love to make sure that you all have some time to share your updates in your world as well. Okay, good people. I'm gonna give you a little bit more time, but I'm gonna keep talking so that we can make sure you all have a chance to share your organization updates or upcoming events. So there are a few other sort of general bodies of information that I think are important to share today. Some of you may have known that I've been participating in, nope, let me back up 2 more steps. Councilperson Porterfield, as budget chair, created a nonprofit work group. This really was birthed out of what I have been calling the Hunger Games of budgeting for during 2024. And at that point, Chair Porterfield decided that she needed to have a better understanding of how we were giving, how the city was giving out money or dispersing funds to nonprofits, what's the experience of those nonprofits, what the process, what are some of the barriers, and then ultimately how the city can do a better job of budgeting against true needs based on where they cannot provide services, right? So what are the gaps in government and how do CBOs fill in those gaps? And then how do we decide to allocate funding against that sort of full scope of service delivery, okay? In participating as a part of this work group, it essentially was a couple months of some deep dive interviews with Councilperson Berkeley Allen, a few other members of council, including Jeff Gregg, and all the few people that sit on the committee, and really exploring what has this process looked like. And it's not just unique to the village, but each of the organizations that have or receive some type of direct allocation, and y'all really giving them the nuts and bolts of what it looks like, right? What happens when you request the dollars? How are we talking to council members? Who has to vote for what? I mean, quite literally, there was not one picture of this process top to bottom. And the work with this work group helped to color that for Councilperson Porterfield and for those involved. Unfortunately, the timeline for this sort of excavation of information did not allow them to change really anything about the process for this upcoming budget season. So I'm sharing this because as much as we are shifting and getting a better picture of how operationally we can function for this next year, we are also at the table to inform those decision makers around what is possible for us, what's a barrier, and then ultimately what we really expect, right, from this partnership. Unfortunately, this year, nothing is going to change. And I made it, if you go back and listen to the recording of the last work group meeting, I made it very clear that what you all have concluded is that this will be the exact same process this year, to which they said yes. However, more of the key players involved understand this process. And so I share that because it works when we have shared language. And so the more we can all deeply understand the process, the better strategy we have at the chess table, right, or the chessboard. And so if anyone has been engaged in the budgeting process or plans to be engaged in the budgeting process to receive a direct allocation from government this year, please reach out to me. It's for no other reason than just information gathering, so that when I go to tables, I can use specific examples of folks within the village who are also, from their organization's perspective, dealing with the system and the impact of some of the decisions. The last thing I'll share very briefly, I know there's been some questions about how this work is sort of situated or nestled at Community Foundation, and particularly my role. And so we did a little of this at the end of the year, but I just want to give a very high level overview. The village as a program lives under the Community Development Department here at Community Foundation, which I get the privilege of leading. Shekinah is responsible for all of the actual management of the program. My primary responsibility is to make sure that we're connecting the dots to the other systems, that we're connecting the work of the village to our philanthropic partners, that we're connecting the work and the value and importance of the village to our government officials. Is actually one of my very limited goals in this role, is that I'm the liaison for all of the work at the Community Foundation to all of our metro government. And so it is the pipeline in which we change the water, right? While we're figuring out how to swim, while we're making sure that everyone is fed, the pathway for this work as it relates to the larger ecosystem is dependent on how it is positioned within those larger conversations. And so my responsibility and my commitment to this work is to make sure that it is elevated in all of those rooms, and that it not only is carried along, but a lot of times that we lead from this place of this collective voice. I said a whole lot of words today, y'all. There's so much happening in the chat box, and I love it. I know Shekinah is making sure we get copies of all the things. But we always want to make sure that you have a little bit of time to share what's happening in your world. And then also, if there's any pressing questions from anything I shared, I'm happy to do a little bit of a quick response, but I want this to be your time. We are canceling the consultant speed dating. It is not because we will not be able to provide support. It's because we need to better organize ourselves. I'm not going to ask our consultants to come and spend time and have real meaningful conversations with you all, only for us to have to figure out the backdoor, right, approach to how we're going to meet those needs. I want to have a very clear understanding of what is allowable and what is our process, so that it minimizes any type of confusion. If you received a consulting package, and y'all, we got to use some different language. If you received a consulting package during our holiday party, please go ahead and reach out to Shekinah. We have a plan to move some things forward right now. And so go ahead and reach out to her, and we'll make sure we're moving those things along. We have a slate of really, really exciting workshops and gatherings and happenings at the end of February, because we need to be together. We're gonna find joy, and we're gonna laugh, and we're gonna learn, and we're gonna upskill while we're also fighting this good fight. And so Shekinah and I have put together hopefully a pretty dynamic Village Week at the end of February for us to be together and to do all of the things that you all named today. I said I was going to stop talking 3 minutes ago, so I'm going to pause here and turn the floor back over to you, Shekinah. If y'all need me, I'm going to drop my email and cell in the chat box, just in case anyone needs to get a hold of me. And y'all, we're doing it. We are doing it together. All right, Shekinah, it's on you.
Before I start speaking, I saw Kara had her hand raised. I don't know if she removed it or if the Zoom call removed it. And then I see that Benias has his hand raised as well. So I want to give y'all time to ask y'all questions or make y'all statements.
Yeah, I removed it because I need to put more thought into that question, if I'm honest. So I'll circle back around.
Okay. Benias.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Just wanted a quick clarification. So do you know if Metro will execute the contracts with the Metro Public Health Department? Should we just give up on that? Should we go towards the direct appropriation advocacy where we start meeting with council members?
You mean
what path should we start paving?
Are you saying for next year for your individual orgs? or is this the funding that was already, you already had the intent to award?
Yeah, there was the intent to award, but I mean, at this point for next year, we definitely have to do the direct appropriation or else.
Yeah, I don't think there is it's your money from this year. So I think keep going through whatever the process is to secure those dollars. Moving forward, I mean, we can talk strategy. I can tell you the pros and cons that I've learned during this work group about the direct appropriations and allocation. I think either way it's going to be an uphill battle. That's just a very honest answer. I heard even with some of the direct allocations this year that those contracts were still delayed very directly, and Kara is probably on the background nodding her head. We are looking to secure 3 years of funding that is independent of this funding stream. The amount of energy that it is taking to navigate that relationship does not position us to be effective in this body of work. And that is a strategy that we've decided it works best for us. I don't have time to do what has been necessary to secure the dollars that we still have not seen in 8 months. I think for your organization, you have to ask yourself, what is your capacity and what hoops are you willing to jump through? You know what the game is. You've been through it, and it's not going to change this year.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. I'm happy to strategize with you offline.
And guys, I just wanted to clarify the consultant packages that Erica and I are mentioning. If you got a chance to attend the Village's holiday party in December, we did a raffle. If you are a winner of that raffle and you won a raffle ticket during that holiday party, those are the consultant packages that we're referring to. I just wanted to clarify that a little bit so that people kind of know what we're talking about. Because I did see some questions about that. I do want to give you guys time to shout out any events or anything that you have going on, give you guys time to have the floor a little bit before we have to hop off. Like Erica has said, I know we have said a lot. And so I'm sure that there'll be many questions, many places of curiosity, many ideas of collaboration that you have. Y'all, please email me. Please email me. That's all I have to say without saying a whole lot. My email is village@cfmt. I'll drop it in the chat, and we are in this journey together. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. If you have anything, I'm gonna allot the time for you to come off mute now.
And because a lot of folks have been dropping a lot in the chat box. The chat box is recorded. We will be able to take the messages and even your flyers and make sure that they get included in the newsletter.
I see someone has their hand raised.
Yes, hi, my name is Ifani Da Silva. I am with the Brooklyn Heights Community Garden, and I dropped it in the chat, but we are currently hiring for this growing season, 3 positions, 2 different community ambassadors, and 6 healing and wellness facilitators. So those 6 people will each teach 1 class. And it'll be like a $250 stipend. So applications are open from now to the 14th. And then as for the community ambassadors, it's $2,000 total from, I don't want to get the dates wrong, April through to October. But basically just someone who's willing to share and grow, literally, with the community and reaching out to church and schools, and then another person that's willing to teach gardening and that kind of thing.
Thank you for that. I do want to pause this for a second. I know that it is 12 and I know that some people will have to hop off. Again, I will be recording, catching flyers. If you have a flyer that you would like to be in the newsletter, please email it to village@cfmt. And I did just want to thank you all. I'm sure people will have to drop at 12. So I wanted to officially just kind of thank you guys for joining the call today. If you do need to hop off, if you would like to stay on, we do want to honor the people who want to come off mute and give any announcements. I did want to give Ashley an opportunity. We're collaborating with Ashley this month on a networking event. It is her 1 year anniversary for her amazing nonprofit that she started recently. And so I did want to give her a chance to share a little bit about that and for that event, because we are, collaborating. The village is collaborating with her on that event. So Ashley, if you were available to come off mute,
Sure.
so, but I do want to just thank you guys for joining the call. If you have to drop off, thank you so much. If you do have time to stay on, we welcome you to do that as well.
Yes, thank you, Shekinah. I'm happy to partner with you guys. It's going to be at the AC Hotel, guys. It starts at 6, it ends at 9, and I also added a flyer and a link in the chat. And we just have a good time. Like we have a DJ there. Of course, there's a bar, and I can say that what I've seen at our networking events is that people are very serious about networking. Like if I'm coming out and I have a lot going on, I want to be strategic and intentional about meeting people that, want to partner and collaborate. So I would love to see you guys there on February the 13th, which is a Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley.
I can share.
Oh, what is the code, Shekinah? I forgot to add the special. Was it the village?
Yep,
If
the
they
code
register?
is the village. It's no spaces. It's just THEVILLAGE.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely.
I can quickly request some collaborations. Our organization is going to do a town hall March the 22nd. We're finalizing the location, but if anybody's interested in joining us, and I know there's a town hall happening today as well at 6 p.m. at Corinthians Church, and that's going to be centered around the shooting and like mental health of young people who experience that. So if you guys are interested, I'll drop the link in the chat, and I can also drop a point of contact for the town hall in March.
Thank you, Benias. I'm gonna extend it for until about 12:05. I do want to honor people's time. I'll stay on after that if anybody has any questions, if anybody wants to come off mute and shout out any event that they're having.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jalen Henry. I don't come off mute too many times during meetings like this, but I am a new business owner. I'm the CEO and the owner of Recovery for You, and we are a nonprofit that deals with health and wellness and substance abuse and recovery. I partner with local churches and to host like TED Talks. Really, I put a flyer that really explains really what we do. But I would love to support. I'm new to the nonprofit world. I'm here to gain network and gain connections. So I would love for y'all to just tap in with that. I know y'all are pretty busy, but just anything counts, data counts. So just click on the page, give it a chance. And yeah, that's it. Thank y'all.
Jalen, a few folks are asking for your info in the chat. I scrolled. I didn't get a chance to see it either. Will you drop it again, please?
Yes, ma'am, I will.
I think we have time for one more announcement if anybody wanted to come off mute.
Hey y'all, how you doing? This is Gil Whiting. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm over at Vanderbilt, and I just want to share information. This year is the 100th anniversary of the birth of Malcolm X. It's the 60th anniversary of the release of his book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X. It's also 60th anniversary of his assassination, and we're going to be doing a little event here at Vanderbilt at the Divinity School, and just letting you all know, come on and join us with myself, Juan Floyd Thomas, Michael Eric Dyson, and a couple others we're going to be doing some stuff with some students, some spoken word and things like that. I will have a bit.ly link where folks can actually come in if they want to via a webinar kind of format. But I'll put that information in there for you. I'm the CEO of the National Black Student Achievement Association. And I just want to say I was actually here with the village probably when it first began many, many years ago, but haven't been active that much lately. It's just about giving to the village, not so much applying or taking things that the village has to offer. So if you have time, if it's in your schedule, please join us, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all y'all for being able to join the call today. Thank you so much for the surveys, for the engagement, for the testimonies, for the feedback, y'all. We definitely appreciate it. We had 71 people attend this meeting today. If that is not a testament that the village works, if that is not a testament that the village is not a one-sided program, it works, you guys are engaged, and this is just such an important community. I want to thank you all. Seeing that number really just made me feel encouraged in a different way, and I hope that even though it's not about the numbers, I hope that you all leave this call not feeling discouraged, believing, but just feeling encouraged. I hope that something was said, something helpful, something insightful was said on today. Y'all please email, stay connected to us, email each other, partner with each other. Y'all, I am catching as many flyers and as much information as I can, but please email me after this. We are figuring out a way to keep you all best engaged, to continue to create a community that is easy, that is collaborative for you all to stay engaged, not only with us, but with each other. So thank you all for being patient with us thus far as we continue to just navigate this journey and figure it out together. I want to just say that I hope y'all stay safe. Thank y'all so much for giving us y'all time. And if y'all need us, email us, please, please, please. Thank you all so much for your time. Erica, if you have any other closing remarks you wanted to say, I see you shaking your head. Okay. I will stay. My email, how to book time with me is in the newsletter. As always, you guys can find it in your email. And thank y'all. Stay safe. We love y'all. Happy Black History Month, y'all. Can't forget to say that. Happy Black History Month. Stay safe out there, y'all. Love y'all.